Hey, and welcome to Pod Talks with myself, Ritu, and Shannon today. So, we are going to be talking about an interesting topic today and it's relevant to this time of year as well, because we've got Christmas coming up in literally less than 2 weeks. And this is the time of year when I guess people will start to get a little bit concerned about things like weight gain, especially if you have been or have just recently started a fat loss journey, for example. But we're going to kind of flip the switch here today and just change things up, kind of give you a different mindset and a different mindset about how to look at this period as well. Welcome, Shannon. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good. I'm excited to do this topic because I feel like it's something that my clients struggle with, especially, and women that I take on in general. They're always wondering, like, if they're going to get bulky, if they're going to, start to look manly. So it's a really good topic. So, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, of course. So obviously we know that this time of year gets really busy. Some of the things that we need to do is obviously still be training. But again, when we're thinking about the weight gain, I want us to do a reframe and almost like think of it of all the extra food that we're going to be eating
Yeah.
as being fuel
Yeah, of course.
and not the enemy. And also thinking of this period or even this season here as being a time to utilize or kind of sit in Gainesville. So thinking about building muscle with those extra calories.
Yeah.
Um, Still training, still being consistent with that, still utilizing again, movement opportunity as well, and not going, right, I'm going to park and just do nothing and
Yeah.
I'll just attack it in January. But I think it's really important to have that reframe. And is this something that you're talking about with your girls as well at
Yeah,
the moment?
100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's so important, especially now this time, like you were saying, and everyone just wants to just kind of say fuck it for December and just take the whole time off. But when we look at the actual days, it's Christmas Eve to New Year's Day, and it's
Mm,
about a week. Like we don't have to cancel off the whole of December just
mm.
for about 7 to 10 days
Yeah,
of enjoyment. I think it's just so pointless.
yeah, exactly. And a whole lot's not going to happen within that time, especially if
No.
you are staying consistent. And again, I sort of like say movement opportunity because I know that typically sometimes for people, if they are sacking everything off, they might just sack off the gym, they might
Yeah,
sack off the extra steps, they might just kind of go into this lull where they are doing nothing. And then unfortunately, you will put on weight.
you will. Yeah.
You are going to put in on weight in a very an uncomfortable way as well, and
Yeah.
it's not going to do you any good for the beginning of January. But similarly, at the same time, we don't want to kind of go, oh my God, I need to be like tracking everything meticulously, and I need to be getting in 16,000 steps a day, and I need to be training 5 days a week. Like,
But
none
also
of that.
as well, like leading up to that point where you do take that period off, calorie banking, like it works so well for my clients. And it's something that I recently like came about this year. Like I didn't really go into it too much, but it actually does work because your body doesn't really know technically if it's 9 p.m. on a Monday or 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. Like it takes it as a whole. So I feel like that is so important as well.
Yeah, 100%. We've been doing a lot of calorie banking
Hmm.
over the last maybe even 6 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And it's because people have had so they've had lots of like work events, there's Christmas events coming up. It's
Yeah.
like, we're mid-December now and things are coming to a head. Like there's more social events, there's more Christmas markets and stuff to indulge in, and there's loads of different things happening. But also, when I say 6 weeks, it's because Diwali wasn't actually that long ago. And
Yeah.
so for a lot of my ladies, they had that celebration or that
Yeah.
period. Then it was like, okay, let's get back on the
Yeah.
train. And then it's like now again, it's slowing things
Yeah.
or again changing mindset. And again, it's just like you say, it's 7 to 10 days, but
Yeah.
it's not going from one extreme to the other where we're going, oh my God.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like as well, it's especially for my women that have just got on it like from having like a little period off or holidays, and they're super, super on it. If you do nothing and you've gone from doing like cardio, let's say 3, 4 times a week, you're literally, your body's going to be like, what are we doing? And you lay in bed, chill, relax, eat, like it is going to have an effect if you do nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
something is better than nothing.
100%. But yeah, again, thinking about that reframe as well. But, like you say, even if you're just training like 3 times a week,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. And then using the opportunity to get out and move and to be active. So um, choosing activities with your friends or with people, family that involve walking, that involve mooching around and looking around
Yeah.
and stuff. And there's loads of different ways we can kind of talk about that sort of stuff as well. But I think the main purpose of today's podcast was basically talking about actually having some weight gain or maybe even accepting it
Yeah.
and thinking about, yes, more food is is quite important when, yes, enjoying yourself,
Yeah, of course.
but also with utilizing it for muscle gain and growth. Okay,
Hmm.
so just kind of bringing it back to when we are always in a deficit, how are you really going to be able to maximize or utilize your
Yeah.
strength? Actually get better at training, increase your performance in training, looking at increasing your strength and your ability to grow more lean muscle tissue. How are we going to let that happen if we are constantly sitting in a
Yeah.
deficit?
Hmm.
So, almost looking at this as a period of growth, and we can attack the next phase come January. And maybe
Yeah.
even like that's like January the 6th, because that's a Monday this year.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's just
I
like,
know that everyone is going to be starting from that Monday.
for sure. And like taking that time between like now, next week, let's say the end of next week, and that time. So whether it's like, again, 2 weeks or maybe even 3 weeks at a push, just
Yeah.
using that time to really kind of settle in and get into those using the extra energy. And I
Yeah.
know what you mean, because you were saying about bulky. It's not going to happen like that overnight.
No.
That's going to happen if you don't train, right?
Yeah. But in a sense of being like kind of like, how do I put it? Like a messy bulk, like
Mm,
the extra fat spillage and stuff like that. But in terms of like muscular bulking and looking manly, it's just not going to happen. I don't think people understand how much effort and time and consistency and all the other stuff that go with it. That muscle takes time to grow. You are never going to look bulky ever. Like people that are actually trying to kind of get that look, it takes them so long. You
years.
know. So yeah, definitely, I agree.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think taking it back to the extra calories, I think it's really important to still think about protein intake as
Yeah,
well. Still thinking about the mindset of, yes, I'm going to have more food, but I'm going to be focusing, again, you can track around the special days. You can still do that. But
yeah.
again, even when you are sitting down to eat and stuff, like, yeah, extra calories, cool, but you're not just pigging out on a tub of roses and quality
For the
street.
sake of it,
Just
literally.
yeah.
For the sake of it, because
Like,
you've got all this time
yeah.
being in a good diet, a good this. I feel like if anyone does it, it's because you feel so restricted and you
Mm,
then need to look at who you're training with and who's coaching you and what you're doing. If you feel that restricted to have that big binge, then there is something wrong there.
yeah.
But also as well, you, you've made so much, like people have made so much progress and you've now changed your eating habits and stuff like this. Me personally, I don't actually want to binge. I'm still being
Mm,
mindful and enjoying myself, but just not eating stuff for the sake of it, you know?
yeah.
So
There's a big difference, isn't there? There's a
yeah,
difference between enjoying the actual food and then going off
just for the
completely.
sake of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like you're sat down, you're watching a movie, and it's like, oh, should we go and another mince pie? Another one?
Yeah.
Another
For
one?
what reason? Because you
Or
want
having the snacks
joy.
literally there, and that's
Yeah.
the thing I feel like, especially if people have been working really hard all year, overbuying,
Yeah.
overbuying at the supermarket. You do
Yeah.
not need to
It
spend
happens every year.
£100 on like everything in the shop.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I need to go and buy this like chocolate wreath. and then I
Yeah.
need to go and get this honeycomb something, and then I need to make sure I've got four different types of like roasted nuts,
Yeah.
you know,
No, genuinely. And I think a lot
every
of it comes
flavor of
down
crisp.
to emotional eating as well.
Yeah,
And I think that plays such a big part. Um, and also your discipline with yourself. And I feel like it's more of a social thing
yeah,
because when you are by yourself, you're a lot more on it. Whereas when you're with people, oh well, go on, I'll just have it. And then I'll have that. And then I go to someone else's house and have that. You don't need to. You
yeah.
just feel like you have to because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there are tips or even like tricks that we can kind of do when going out to eat somewhere is actually maybe even having that, like we talked about calorie banking, but maybe even
Mm.
banking the protein earlier in the day.
Yes.
You know, typically you might be consuming more, especially if it's like more of a socializing, there's drinks involved, you know, it's more snacky stuff. Because when we think about Christmas dinner
Mm.
itself, it's typically
More
quite,
carb based.
but
Yeah.
it's quite healthy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. True. Yeah.
Got protein, you've got fiber, veggies, you know, you've actually got really good nutrients within there as
Yes. I
well,
think
right?
I was gonna say our roast dinners probably not. Like they're very fatty and stuff.
Well, there
But
will be, but
on
it's not
a
going to be.
whole, it's meat,
Yeah.
it's carbs, a bit of fat. You got veg.
Mhm.
It's just how much you're consuming. And I see some people's plates and I'm like, you don't need to, you get full and then you think, oh, I still have to finish it because I've took just do it as you go. And if you get full, you don't need to take any more?
Yeah. So first thing is not overbuying,
Yes.
especially on snacks,
Yeah.
or maybe even just using like smaller plates.
Yeah.
Right? Smaller plates help, especially if you're like in terms of like you know what you're like. It's Christmas. The I think the fun of having seconds is like, oh, let's
Yeah,
go for
100%.
more. Have a
Yeah.
smaller plate. Go for
That's
bloody.
what I was going to say. Because if you haven't piled up in the beginning, then you won't feel as bad. Whereas if you just put it in portions and kind of divide the portion that you would have had in your brain, you'll think, oh no, I've actually had a decent amount.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
if two plates would have made up your old one.
yeah,
Okay?
exactly. Right. And then also thinking about how you dress up the plate. So you've got your protein, you've got your fiber foods, and then you've got room for a bit of other stuff.
Mhm.
But even when it comes to that, maybe even thinking ahead of time and going, right, this is typically when I'm going to eat. This is typically maybe earlier in the day. We'll get a walk in the morning. We'll bank some protein. I know it sounds crazy, but I will have a protein shake on Christmas Day. I'm sorry,
I
but I
hear it.
will.
I'm
I will
all
have
here
one
for it.
right in the morning. I'll just be like, yep, just had a quick feeding, done. Right, now let me go and smash some chocolate and mince pies or
Yeah, but
whatever,
you know
right?
what? I feel like for me personally, when I've worked so hard, it it almost makes it so much more enjoyable that I am allowed the treat, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
If I'm not saying on Christmas Day or whatever, but even Christmas Eve, like I'm still going to the gym. I'm still, doing what I can until I have that time off. But the inactivity for me personally, like I'm like, oh my God, I want to get back. I want to get back. But
yeah.
also the whole eating, I feel like once I've gone to the gym, yeah, I can overindulge because I've kind of worked for it leading up, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah, exactly. And then also thinking about when you are training, or actually, there's so many things that you can do. I think we talked about it already, but like getting out and making sure that you are being active throughout the weeks or whatever, because
Yeah.
most people take time off as well during this as
Yes.
well. Um, so yeah, taking time off, getting out for walks. I actually I don't know what you guys do, but I
Mm.
actually start Christmas Day with a walk.
Do you actually?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You don't want to hear what we do on Christmas Day.
You know what? The thing is, it's torn because I have got family members that will literally start with like champagne for breakfast
Yeah,
and stuff.
literally, we have rum, get the music on,
Yeah.
Christmas. Like we even have Christmas breakfast, which is like fried dumpling and fish and ackee and saltfish. And it's like that in itself is so fattening.
Mm.
But we worked however hard to enjoy, and you shouldn't feel bad for doing it.
No, of course not. Exactly. And then when you are going to the gym, like all that extra fuel, I don't look at, and this is another thing to frame as well, because
Mm.
people might overindulge and then they go, oh my God, I need to go and do loads of cardio. It's like, don't be ridiculous. In order
Yeah.
to burn even like one chocolate, it's going to take you like half an hour or something. It's
Yeah.
don't even have that
Yeah,
mindset.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Think of it as I've got these extra calories. I'm literally going to use this to, lift heavier, to, perform my moves a bit more. Again, maybe the weight's going up. Maybe I'm doing like again, just like feeling good within that session, like really owning it
Mhm.
and realizing that yes, I'm getting stronger, right? And
Yeah.
I'm building muscle and I'm building strength and not going, oh my God, I need to go to the gym because I've got to go and lose. And
Mhm.
I often talk about this as well, that exercise is the stuff that shapes us.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
it's not the stuff. We're not looking to burn calories when we train. That's
No.
that. We'll just send you may as well just be a hamster on a hamster
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hamster wheel. But you may as well be because if
Yeah,
everything is just about burning calories, like I'm sorry, like let's get away from that.
yeah,
No, training is there to help us in so many other ways to help our performance,
yeah.
muscle gain.
But even outside of the gym, like
Yeah.
to carry things. I remember when I first started like lifting heavy weights, I was like, fuck, like I'm gonna be able to carry all my shopping bags in one go.
Mm,
And things outside of the gym that you wouldn't think about, like you're able to do now. And that's because of lifting heavy weights. Like it all plays a part in some other area of your life, whether you want to think about it or not.
yeah, definitely. I have actually had the oh my God, I can lift my shopping bags comment pretty recently from one of my clients. So yeah, definitely. It's all those things as well. Yeah, so I guess, kind of thinking about like January as
Mm.
well. When do you find like the switch off or, the kind of reset happens for you and your girls? When
Um,
is there a switch off or a reset, or is it something that, how do you transition?
It's always the first Monday of Jan. Whether that, obviously, it's not going to be that way, but whether it be like the 15th, let's say, like that's the Monday that it will happen. And I give them grace, like you're allowed to enjoy. And just because it's January the 1st, you might have gone out for New Year's Eve. Like that's still, for me, a really big celebration as much as it is like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. So still drinking. And I know that period from Christmas Eve right up until January the 1st or even the 2nd it's just celebration, celebration, celebration. So I feel like give yourself grace and get back on it when, give yourself a day, like the Monday, because logically in everyone's brain, everything resets on a Monday
Does, doesn't it?
and get back on it. Because the
Yeah.
more you leave it and oh no, it's Tuesday, like, it gets a bit crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And because this year, New Year's Day landing on a Wednesday,
I know.
most people will book annual leave
Yeah.
Thursday and Friday, and they might even have the tradition of going out on the New Year's Day as opposed to the New Year's Eve.
Yep.
And so if there's still loads of fun happening on New Year's Day, well, the 2nd of January is just going to be like recovering.
Yeah.
The 3rd is a Friday, for goodness sake.
And then
There's
it's Saturday,
a
Sunday.
scramble. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's going to have to be a scramble of like resetting, tidying up at home. It's all of that stuff, those
Yeah.
actions of clearing away and making space for a new Monday as well. For those of you that have got, jobs and well jobs careers that like where jobs where you've kind of just had time off and actually things have been closed over Christmas and New Year's anyway.
Yeah.
Monday is really when everything goes um
To normal.
back to normal.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think yeah, just even when that comes, don't go ham, like don't go absolutely.
No, because you're going to burn out and it's going to last about 2 weeks. And this is why we see every single year in the gym, if you're a regular gym goer,
Yeah.
January is about 3 weeks of it being packed and full. And there's so many people and it's so, motivating and it's nice. Like I really enjoy it. And then February, second week in February, the third week, it is like so empty.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is why, because you were trying to do every single thing every single day, Monday to Friday, you've done nothing like this before. You have to build the habit. And this is what I teach my clients. Like I say, 1% better every day. Do one thing you can focus on, do that very well, and then go on to your second thing. When that one's become a habit, like brushing your teeth that you don't think about anymore,
Yeah.
that one's in the bag. Like you go gym now regularly. Let's focus on nutrition. And then you pile them up until it's just, you've got all the good habits.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All those stackables
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's really important actually. And it's interesting you mentioned that the first 2, 3 weeks people go absolutely crazy. But again, is it that mindset of I've switched off completely over Christmas and New Year's? I've let loose. I'm starting January, and now I've
Yeah.
got to burn everything, and that's why they're in the
Negative cycles. Yeah.
really negative. So I think for those of you that are listening, just well, you are listening, you're here. You got this far. But just thank you anyway for listening. But also just have that mindset shift that this is a more of a long-term goal. And rather than thinking about all these short-term and unnecessary fears, just focusing on what the overall goal is. And most of us women, we want to get lean, we want to feel stronger, we want to build more muscle tissue, we want to be toned. That stuff is not going to happen unless you have a bit of time off as well. It's really
Yeah,
important. You
100%.
mentioned burnout, and again, the
Yeah.
same thing's going to happen there. So use this time, don't switch off, still train, be consistent with your habits, enjoy the festive period, calorie bank here and there. That does not mean
Yep.
starve, may I say. You don't calorie
No.
bank after the
Yeah.
fact,
Yeah.
do it before.
Mm.
Also another thing as well. But yeah, anything else to kind of add, Shannon?
Um, I think we covered everything for the Christmas period for like to focus on. We don't want to overwhelm people with so much information. I think we've hit the basics.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a good pod talk. Yeah.
brilliant, excellent. Well, Shannon, I hope we get to do this again. I'm sure we
Yeah,
will.
sure. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, those of you listening, if you want to reach out to Shannon, you can find her on Instagram at
SCT Fitness.
brilliant. And for myself, you find me at Richu Bra on Instagram. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you here next time.